Welcome to FoodNourish Deep Dives.
Great to be here.
We're diving deep today, and not just into living longer, but really into maximizing what experts call your health span.
Right, those quality years, being active, feeling good, disease-free, that's the real goal, isn't it?
Exactly. That's the mission here. And today, we're looking at strategies backed by experts and research that could, potentially help us hit 100 in really good shape.
Yeah, a vibrant century. We're drawing heavily from a fantastic FoodNourish article, How to Live 100 Years in Perfect Health According to Experts. Lots of science in there.
It's packed. So let's jump right in. First up, and maybe the most obvious place to start,
Well,
food, what we eat.
absolutely. The link between diet and how long, and importantly, how well we live, is just undeniable. The research points pretty strongly towards plant-rich diets.
More plants, less disease risk, longer life. It seems to be a consistent theme.
It really is. And you see figures like Dr. Walter Longo at USC. His work is fascinating.
Oh, the Prolon diet guy, the fasting mimicking thing.
That's the one. The idea is clever. It tricks the body into thinking it's fasting, triggering some beneficial cleanup processes, but you still get nutrients.
So you get the benefits without the misery of a full fast.
Sort of, yeah. It's primarily plant-based, focuses on unsaturated fats, and keeps protein, especially animal protein, quite low. It's about hitting a metabolic reset.
Interesting. And then there are the blue zones. Always come back to them, don't we?
We do, because they're real-world proof of concept, these populations living incredibly long lives.
And their diets are, 95% plants?
Around that, yeah. Lots of beans, greens, whole grains, nuts. Meat is really occasional, small portions. It's compelling stuff.
It makes you wonder about trends like the carnivore diet. The article tackles that head on.
Right, and Dr. Frank Hugh from Harvard raises a key point: the lack of fiber and prebiotics.
Why is that so critical? Gut health.
Exactly. Our gut microbiome, all those trillions of bacteria, needs fiber to thrive. Without it, you risk losing diversity in there, which can lead to dysbiosis.
And that's linked to all sorts of age-related problems.
It certainly seems to be, yeah. So fiber is crucial for feeding those good gut bugs.
Okay, so if we want the longevity benefits, what foods should be on the shopping list? The article mentions lots of color.
Definitely. Colorful fruits and veggies are packed with antioxidants, which protect our cells. Think berries, leafy greens.
And beans, legumes for protein.
Great plant-based protein sources. Plus nuts and seeds for those healthy fats. And whole grains, not the processed stuff.
Fatty fish gets a mention too, for omega-3s.
Yep, things like salmon, mackerel, good for brain health and inflammation.
And on the other side of the coin, the article really hammers home the danger of ultra-processed foods.
Oh, absolutely. That 2024 study is pretty stark. A 10% increase in consumption linked to a 7% rise in mortality.
Wow. What's so bad about them? Is it just the sugar and fat?
It's that, but also the artificial ingredients, the lack of nutrients, the negative impact on the gut microbiome, and they tend to promote chronic inflammation. Just not good for the long haul.
So it's not about finding one magic superfood.
Not really, no. It's about the overall pattern. Consistency with whole, minimally processed foods is what truly counts. Small, steady choices.
Okay, diet covered. Let's shift gears to movement. The article calls regular activity a really strong predictor of longevity.
It absolutely is. Dr. Luigi Ferrucci talks about compressing disability, basically, staying functional and independent for longer as we age.
And the stats are impressive, right? Like a 30–40% lower mortality risk with moderate exercise.
Yeah, it's significant. Movement is fundamental, not just optional.
And it's not just about hitting the gym hard. The article mentions a mix.
Right, a well-rounded approach. You need aerobic activity for your heart and lungs, strength training to maintain muscle mass, which is crucial as we age, plus flexibility and balance work.
Balance is key to preventing falls later on.
Hugely important. So it's about covering all those bases.
Then there's this concept, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Yes. Dr. James Levine's work, it's basically all the calories you burn, just living. Standing up, walking around the office, fidgeting, doing chores.
And that actually matters for longevity.
The thinking is yes, potentially quite a bit. In our super sedentary lives, just incorporating more of this low-level movement throughout the day could be really beneficial, maybe even more impactful than a single workout for some people.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I try to take the stairs, walk for short trips. Chasing my toddler definitely feels like NEAT, maybe even strength training.
Exactly. Those little bits add up. The CDC recommends, 150 minutes of moderate activity a week, plus strength training twice?
Something like that. But the key message seems to be, any movement is way better than none. just get up and move more.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, next pillar. Sleep. Crucial for repair, the article says. Dr. Matthew Walker calls it the single best thing for resetting brain and body health.
That's a bold claim, but the science is there. Sleep isn't passive. It's when your brain clears out toxins, your body repairs tissues. It's vital work.
And not getting enough less than 6 hours increases mortality risk by, 13%?
That's the figure cited. It highlights just how non-negotiable good sleep is.
The benefits listed are pretty amazing. Clearing out brain waste, linked to Alzheimer's, releasing growth hormone, regulating metabolism, strengthening immunity.
All fundamental processes. Skimp on sleep consistently, and you disrupt all of that, making yourself more vulnerable.
So, practical tips for better sleep. The article has a checklist.
Yeah, the usual suspects, but they work. Keep the room cool, dark, and quiet. Aim for 7-9 hours.
Consistency is key too, right? Same bed and wake times.
Very important for regulating your body clock. And then there's avoiding screens before bed. That blue light really messes with melatonin.
And limiting caffeine in the afternoon and alcohol before bed.
Both can definitely disrupt sleep quality. It's about creating the right conditions and habits for restorative sleep. There was also a note about chronic sleep under 6 hours being linked to cognitive decline.
Right, another reason to prioritize it. Okay, let's talk stress. We all have it. But chronic stress, that's the bad stuff.
That's the real enemy for longevity, yes.
Yeah.
The article mentions Dr. Robert Sapolsky's work on how it can actually damage our telomeres.
Telomeres, those protective caps on our DNA.
Exactly. Chronic stress seems to shorten them faster, which is linked to accelerated cellular aging, like potentially aging you 9 to 17 years faster at a cellular level.
Wow. And the knock-on effects are huge. Inflammation, high cortisol, weaker immune system, poor sleep.
It's a vicious cycle, isn't it? Stress impacts sleep. Lack of sleep increases stress. It all feeds into itself negatively.
But the good news is we can manage it. Stress management techniques actually work. Mindfulness meditation, got to mention.
Yeah, there's good evidence for mindfulness. A JAMA internal medicine study showed benefits for anxiety, depression, pain. It helps you sort of detach from the stress response.
How does it work, basically? Lowering cortisol.
That's part of it. It helps regulate the nervous system, reduces that fight or flight response, making you less reactive to stressors.
And there are lots of ways to do it. The article lists spending time in nature, exercise, which we already covered, deep breathing.
Even just 10 minutes of mindfulness a day can make a difference. Finding what works for you is key.
The article also mentions adaptogens, like ashwagandha. There was a study showing it reduced perceived stress.
Right. Adaptogens are herbs thought to help the body, adapt to stress. Ashwagandha is one of the better studied ones. The study showed a pretty significant reduction, 44%, compared to placebo.
Daily Nutra is mentioned as a partner here, with their ashwagandha supplement. A discount code too, FDN25.
Yeah, as always with supplements, talk to your doctor. But adaptogens are an interesting area of research for stress resilience.
Okay, moving from internal states to external connections. Relationships, this is actually kind of shocking.
The impact of social connection, it's huge. Dr. Julian Holt-Lundstad's research, comparing social isolation's mortality risk to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
That's staggering. And loneliness being as dangerous as obesity or heavy smoking, it really reframes connection as a health necessity, not just a nice to have.
Absolutely. And conversely, strong social ties are linked to a 50% increased likelihood of survival. That's a massive protective effect.
Why are relationships so powerful for longevity?
Multiple reasons. They buffer stress, which lowers inflammation. They give us a sense of purpose and belonging. Friends and family often encourage healthier behaviors,
Like nudging you to go for that walk or eat better.
Exactly. And they provide practical support when things get tough. Think about the blue zones. Again, strong community is a hallmark.
It really is woven into their daily lives.
So the advice here isn't complicated, but it requires intention. Make time for loved ones. Join groups. Volunteer. Focus on quality over quantity.
Make connection a priority. Got it. Okay, next. Finding purpose. How does that link to living longer?
It seems having a reason to get up in the morning, a sense of direction, is protective. Research from Rush University found people with a high sense of purpose were less likely to develop Alzheimer's.
That's significant. And the Japanese concept of ikigai came up.
Right, from Okinawa, another blue zone. Ikigai is basically your reason for being, the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for, though it doesn't have to be work-related.
Having that sense of purpose seems to lower stress hormones, boost immunity, motivate healthy choices.
And build resilience, yeah.
Yeah.
It gives life meaning, which seems to translate into tangible health benefits.
The article had some good prompts for finding it. What makes you lose track of time? What problem do you want to solve? It doesn't have to be world-changing, right?
Not at all. It can be contributing to your community, mastering a craft, raising a family, pursuing a passion. It's personal.
Okay, purpose. Now, mindset. Keeping the brain healthy is obviously vital for reaching 100 well.
Absolutely. And Dr. Carol Dweck's work on growth versus fixed mindsets is relevant here.
The idea that believing you can learn and grow makes you more resilient.
Exactly. People with a growth mindset tend to achieve more and handle setbacks better. The article also links optimism to living longer, 11–15% longer lifespans, much higher odds of reaching 85 plus.
So attitude matters. How does keeping the brain active help specifically?
It builds cognitive reserve, like a buffer against age-related changes. It maintains neural connections, maybe even helps generate new brain cells. It keeps you sharp and adaptable.
And the habits of long-lived people support this. Learning new things, reading, discussing, puzzles, staying curious.
Lifelong learning seems key, challenging your brain regularly. And optimism isn't just wishful thinking, it's a practical approach to facing challenges.
Right. Now for maybe the most straightforward advice. Don't smoke.
Pretty clear-cut, this one. Smoking shaves off, on average, more than 10 years of life.
And quitting helps significantly, especially before 40, according to that New England Journal of Medicine study.
Quitting at any age brings benefits, but the sooner the better. The body starts repairing itself remarkably quickly.
Which is encouraging. The article mentions how heart attack risk drops relatively fast after quitting, and lung cancer risk declines over years.
The body's capacity for regeneration is amazing.
Smoking is the big one. But the article also flags other things to minimize. Excessive alcohol.
Yeah, sticking within recommended guidelines is important.
Air pollution. Maybe using HEPA filters. Checking air quality.
Sensible precautions, especially if you live in a polluted area.
Too much sun-balancing vitamin D with avoiding burns. And toxic household products, opting for natural alternatives.
It's about reducing the overall toxic load on your body from various environmental sources.
Okay, let's talk genes. People often say, oh, it's just my genetics. But the article pushes back on that.
It does. Genetics definitely play a role, maybe accounting for 20–30% of longevity, according to twin studies.
But that leaves a huge chunk, 70–80% down to environment and lifestyle. That's empowering.
Absolutely. Your choices matter far more than your inherited genes, for the most part.
And then there's epigenetics. This is fascinating, the idea that our choices can switch genes on or off.
Exactly. Your behaviors and environment send signals that influence gene expression. So even if you have bad genes for something, a healthy lifestyle can potentially trigger beneficial gene activity and silence the detrimental ones.
So lifestyle can override genetic predisposition to some extent.
It seems that way. Lifestyle choices allow you to make the best of the genetic hand you were dealt. Genetic testing might offer some insights for prevention.
Working with your doctor, maybe being more vigilant about certain screenings.
Right, but ultimately, the power lies in those daily habits.
Finally, supplements. The article is careful here. They're add-ons, not the foundation.
Crucial distinction. You can't out-supplement a bad diet or sedentary lifestyle. Get the basics right first.
But there is research suggesting some might help. Vitamin D was mentioned for reducing mortality risk.
Yeah, vitamin D deficiency is common, and supplementation is often recommended, especially in less sunny climates. Omega-3s for inflammation and brain health.
Magnesium, CoQ10 for energy, and then the newer ones like NMN or NR.
Those are precursors to NAD, plus a molecule vital for cellular energy and repair that declines with age. Research is ongoing, but promising.
And spermidine. That was linked to autophagy, the cell cleanup process.
Yes, a 2018 study linked higher dietary spermidine intake with lower mortality. It's thought to help cells clear out damaged components. Still emerging research, though.
The article cautions about supplement quality, which is important. Fillers, contaminants.
Definitely. Choose reputable brands. And again, talk to a healthcare professional.
Aeon by Perpetual Life gets mentioned as a potential all-round formula with another discount code.
Worth looking into if you're considering a comprehensive supplement, but always do your homework.
So, wrapping this all up, living to 100 in perfect health, it's not a guarantee for anyone.
No guarantees in life. But what's clear is that the choices we make every single day significantly shift the odds in our favor.
And honestly, even if we don't hit 100, Adopting these habits, eating well, moving, sleeping, managing stress, connecting, it just improves your quality of life now.
That's perhaps the most important takeaway. These strategies make life better today, regardless of the ultimate number of years. Better energy, better mood, more resilience.
And the advice to start small. Focus on one thing at a time. That feels doable.
Absolutely. Don't try to overhaul everything overnight. Pick one area, maybe adding more vegetables, or taking a daily walk, or setting a consistent bedtime.
Small, consistent changes compound over time.
That's the principle. Sustainability is key.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is, what's the one next choice you can make, maybe even today, that moves you a tiny bit closer to that goal of a long, vibrant health span?
A great question to reflect on. What's your next step?